Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about coloring pages and how you can create a coloring book with Midjourney. This video was suggested by a viewer who posted the question, can you explore coloring pages? Every time I want to create coloring pages, they don't come out right. So I went through the entire process using Midjourney, importing those images to Illustrator, exporting the vector images into Canva, and finally uploading the images into the Amazon KDP. So here's actually the final product. So for full transparency, this isn't a product that I'm selling. I only created this to fully understand the process and learn how any blocker or obstacle should be overcome. For the most part, the process isn't terribly complicated, but there are a few things that most channels do omit. So in my research, I found that it took several tries to find the proper prompt that would work with any subject matter that I wanted to turn into a coloring page. Number two, taking the images from Midjourney directly and just upscaling them produces a below average result, especially once it's printed. And number three, to produce 40 coloring pages, it took me about 50 or 60 some tries. But other than that, once again, it's pretty straightforward. So let's jump right in. So first things first, let's talk about the prompt. So the prompt that I found the most consistent is this one. Black and white line art, minimalist style, coloring book on white background, well composed, clean coloring book page, no dither, no gradient, strong outline, no fill, no solids, vector illustration. So now I want to talk about two things on here. If you notice, I underlined the word minimalist style, or the words minimalist style. And that's because this is subjective and this one's optional. And if you're looking to create something like a mandala style image, then you want to remove this minimalist style. Otherwise, your mandala won't come out that great. But if you're looking for something that's more oriented towards kids and children, then you probably want to keep this minimalist style on here. And then the last part is, if you notice, I have subject matter. This is where you would input whatever it is that you're trying to create, whether it's unicorns, ponies, elephants, robots. You place the subject in here. All right, so now let's take a look at the different results that Midjourney provided us. So this image right here is still using that minimalist keyword in the prompt, and my subject matter was kawaii characters. For the most part, it did a fantastic job. I love the different expressions that all the characters are making. The one thing to note, this character here on the top left, it's a little creepy. But once we throw this image into Illustrator, we'll be able to fix that. And I think this will make a perfect image for a coloring book. Now with that same prompt, still using that minimalist keyword, here's another version that Midjourney created for us. I created a little like anime girl character in the center. It has these cute little kawaii characters on the left and on the right. Yeah, I think this will work. I think maybe we can fix the eyes, the triple eyes on the characters up at the top. But other than that, it's a fantastic job. Now looking at the next images here, it still uses the minimalist keyword. But now I asked it to create a unicorn. And this for me, this is perfect. This is fantastic. I would not change anything. I think this image is good to just throw into Illustrator and we can vectorize it. Let's look at another option that it created for us. This one's much more childish and kid-friendly. I think this will work. I think we can grab this image. We can also throw this into Illustrator in a couple of seconds and we'll be good to go. Now, I also attempted a couple images without using that minimalist keyword, so I removed that. And for example, here we're looking at Spider-Man. So yeah, that's pretty good. And really the only edits again are just removing minimalist as one of the keywords in your prompt. And again, I just added Spider-Man from my subject matter. Here's another image that's not using the minimalist keyword. And now I asked Midjourney to create me an owl with mandala background. And yep, it did a fantastic job. I think the prompt that I'm using, I'll definitely list it in the description of this video. I think it's perfect. If you notice, it's giving us pretty good results. It's pretty much on point every single time that I'm asking it to create a coloring book. And we'll just take a look at one last image here where all I've asked it to, again, it's not using the minimalist keyword, and I've asked to create kawaii robots. And there we go. I think that all worked out pretty nicely. We're moving into vectorizing our image. We're going to go into Adobe Illustrator. So from Illustrator, I'm going to go to File, and I want a new canvas. You can name it right here. I'm going to call this coloring book sample. For my width, I want it to 8.625. Want to make sure that it's set to inches. For my height, 11.25, so 11.25. That should be good. My artboard set to 1. Color mode. Technically, you could do CMYK since I'm going to be using the free version of Canva. RGB is going to be my best option even for print. Raster effect, I can keep this at 300 ppi. Click create. There we go. It took a second. Now, the first thing that I want to do once I'm on here, I'm going to press Command R, and that's going to bring my rulers because I want some guides. I basically just want to create these 1/4 inch guides as a margin. So if I click on the ruler and I drag it over to the canvas, you'll see a secondary ruler that I can measure, that I can use as measurement to make sure that I'm creating these little lines that are 1/4 inch from the edge of the page. The reason behind that is that for printing, it's always really difficult to print to bleeds. So for an image to be all the way at the end of the page, it's almost impossible. So you'll always want to create that safety margin. So I press save. I'm going to click OK. That all looks fine. There we go. All right. So let's drag in over our first image. Let's go over to a coloring book. And they're going to be my downloads. Over here. Here we go. First, I want to drag, I hope this is the Spider-Man image. Perfect. I want to drag this image over. Okay. I want to click, hold down Shift. I want to scale this image down. Oh, maybe that went too far. Maybe want to scale it up. There we go. Now I've got a couple of presets, and this will align and center my image perfectly on my canvas. Now to vectorize it, it's just going to be a couple of clicks. But before we do that, let me zoom in about 600%. And this is what I'm talking about. See, if you notice, this is that pixelation that I was referring to. And while it's not noticeable when you're looking at the image from far away, when you print this, though, this does become pretty noticeable. And this is what creates that really poor quality, because you see all these jagged lines, pixelated lines. Okay. So with the image selected, I'm going to go up top. I will say image trace. I'm going to click on the right to get my tracing presets. There are two that I really enjoy using. One is called Shades of Gray. The other one is Sketch Start. Shades of Gray, it's mainly when you have an image that's black and white, but you still have some of these gray tones, and they're being used for shadows. I'm looking at this Spider-Man image, and I don't see a lot of gray shadows, so I think for this, we can just click on Sketch Start. It'll take a couple seconds, should be pretty quick. And there we go, there's our image. We did lose some quality on the background of the buildings, but Spider-Man himself, he's looking pretty crisp. And now, for example, let me zoom in at 600% again, and there we go. We're not seeing any of that pixelation. It's all smooth lines here. Okay. Once you have your image, you can go to File, Export, Export As. Canva takes PNGs. I prefer JPEGs. Spider-Man vector. Color mode RGB is fine. Again, one with a maximum option for quality and 300 ppi resolution. That's good. Okay. Now let's try another image. So I want to show you guys what it'll take to, here we go, to fix an image. So this is an image that I thought was like 99% there. So I'm going to click it. I'm going to hold down shift, click on one of the edges, one of the corners, and I can just place it where I want. That's pretty good. Again, I'm going to center it. Perfect. Now, these little eyes here are really tripping me out. So I really want to delete these and fix this image. So I'm going to click on my image, make sure it's selected, go to image trace. This time, I do want to use shades of gray because if you notice, there's some gray tones here in the ears of some of the characters, and there's some gray shadows for the hair. This one does take a little bit longer, but it should produce a pretty good result. Let's give it a couple more seconds here. There we go. Perfect. Once your image is selected and now you want to go and, edit, make further edits, you'll click on expand while it's selected. And now I'm going to press Command-Shift-G to ungroup it. And now I can start deleting some of this extra background elements. That's pretty good. I can zoom in to see what we want to fix. So yes, I really want to fix these eyes. Let's delete the first set, delete the second set, delete this extra line. There's a little gray. Maybe delete this too. Move this closer to that. Yeah, it's pretty good. Might want to delete this little extra. So I just click on that element and I press delete on my keyboard to get rid of anything that I want to remove. Maybe I want to move this guy's mouth just a little bit lower. It's pretty good. Yeah, maybe these stars that are not fully filled. So I'm going to select the star, press delete again on my keyboard just to get rid of it. And this one too. Yep. Now we can zoom out and there we go. Your image has been fixed. So again, we'll go to File, Export, Export As. We'll call this Kawaii Characters. It's already a JPEG. Click Export. All my settings from my previous export have been saved, so click OK. And there we go. That was pretty quick. So now let's jump over to Canva. Now that we're here over at Canva, we can just go to create a design. You can go to custom size. And I'm going to set this to first 2 inches. And I want this at 6.25 by 11.25. Now create a new. Just to let you guys know, I'm using a free version of Canva. So it's fantastic, but there are some limitations, such as once I get to the export, I'll have to export as a RGB PDF, but it's not a deal breaker for what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, excellent. Now I'm going to go to my images. So I'm going to go to Photos, and Uploads, since I've already uploaded these images. But it's really easy. You would just click and drag. So for example, let's do one of these images again. I'll go into my coloring books, and Spider-Man vector. It's just as easy as just clicking and dragging, and almost there. There we go. And it just uploads the image for you. One of the first things that I like to do is just make sure that I've named my file. So I'm going to name this coloring book. And everything we're going to move forward with is we're going to pretend that we have a 40 image book that we're trying to export. So I'm just going to click and drag. I'm going to hold down Shift just to make sure that it's aligned proportionately. And there we go. There's my Spider-Man image. Though I'm noticing that it's cropping, so maybe let me shift over that if I have to. There we go. Now, another thing, I have a little one, I've got a 6-year-old, and she loves coloring books, but she does use markers from time to time. Markers do bleed to the back of the page. So I really do like coloring books that don't have an image, that just have a blank page behind the primary, that have a blank image behind the primary image. So here, to accomplish that is, I'm going to add a page. I'm going to leave this page intentionally blank. So all my even pages are going to be blank, and all my odd pages will have an image. So for example, I'll add a new page, and in here, I'll drag this awesome unicorn here. There we go. And again, I would just add another image. Page 4, I'll leave that intentionally blank. Page 5, drag and drop these cutesy little robots. Hold down Shift. Now let's see, make sure that it's centered. Add a page, page 6 blank, and page 7, let's drop in my my owl. There we go. I would just continue to do this until all 40 of my images have been placed on the canvas. Once I have this, I would just go to Share, Download. I want to make sure that my file type is set to PDF print. I don't need any other settings. Sadly, you're going to be stuck with this RGB, which is best for digital use, but it should be fine. Yeah, our images are only black and white, so it's not a big deal. And you would just download this. Perfect. Now I'm going to start over the process, but I'm going to show you guys how to create the cover. Now for our cover, we're going to need a new prompt. It's actually just a variation of the original prompt. I've just removed some of the extra keywords. So now the only tweak that I'm really making is just adding the word colorful. So it's going to be colorful welcome post, clean coloring book page, vector illustration. And here's where you would just set the subject matter. For this example, I'm using, again, kawaii characters, but you can input whatever you like. We have our cover image. This image, I do want to upscale it. I've looked at the cover and it doesn't seem to be too bad. It's not noticeable that it's an upscaled image. So with this, you're just good enough to go to your favorite upscale website. I use upscale.media, but really you could use whichever one you want. I'm going to drag over my image. If you're using just a free version, you can only do one image at a time. That is a drawback, but again, I don't really want to pay for this service, so I can just do the one at a time. Okay. That's pretty good. I want to see if I can upscale it to the max. So I'm going to set it to 4x. It's going to take a couple of seconds here, and perfect. Now let's download the image. Okay, now let's jump over back to Canva. So with Canva, again, we want to do a custom size. Now I know from doing this already that 40 images, or technically, those 40 images for the spine and for the cover, I want to set it to 17.419 by 11.25. If you want to use different images, I would just suggest that you look at the KDP website, and they have recommendations on the size of what your spine should be. I just know that if I'm going to be uploading 40 images, my size for my cover needs to be 17.419 by 11.25. Make sure that's set to inches as well. So create a new design. And there we go. Okay. So now I want to name this. Call this coloring book cover. And let's upload our image right here that we want to use. It's going to take a couple of seconds here. Now there's some suggestions that I can make. One is that maybe you might want to include some of the images that you're going to be using inside the book on the back cover. But again, that's completely subjective and completely up to you. So I'm going to enlarge this. That's pretty good. I want to find where the middle is. Somewhere around there. Okay, I'm good with that. Now what I want to do is I want to add color to this background here. So it could just be as easy as maybe selecting black. I don't know if that's the best option. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. It's taking the photo color. Although it does seem to have a gradient. I don't want a gradient per se, but I do want a back color. Let's see. Maybe I can just pick a color. I want this. Yeah, I'm good with that. So now let's add some text. Maybe if some of these options appeal to you, you can choose some of these. Let's see. Yeah, maybe we just go with the standard text here. I'm going to ungroup this. And now let's use this to say kawaii coloring book. That's really big, so let's kind of reduce this a little bit. Maybe expand this. Oh, maybe I could just call it kawaii coloring. Yeah, that might work. Maybe I'll say something as ages 6 and up. Maybe set this to bold. This is already set to bold. Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. And maybe we can just kind of align that there. Maybe bring it up a tiny bit. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Note that Amazon KDP will add a little barcode to the bottom. So like right here. Let me kind of just use this as a representation. I'm not going to keep this element, but your barcode will go about there. So you want to leave that space blank, really. Just from the books that I've seen on the Amazon store, a lot of them are just have this blank cover. But maybe a suggestion if you want to stand out is maybe you include some of the images from the book. Whoa. There we go. Include some of these images. on the back of the cover. So there we go. Just kind of make sure Spider-Man is there. So you can include one image. Now let's throw in another image here just for making this kind of fun. All right, yeah, let's go nuts. Let's actually add all the images. So yeah, just something that I've noticed that you don't have to hold down Shift, unlike in Adobe products. You can just drag them and then just click on the corners. And Canva apparently is so user-friendly that you can just resize it without really having to hold down Shift. If you hold down Shift, it seems to be changing the like the art box itself, and then you would have to double click into the image and then scale this one separately, which is a little bit of a pain, but doable. And there you go. That's all it takes. So now you can just, again, go to share, download, and you can just download this PDF print. Again, you'll only have this RGB version, but that'll work for what we are trying to accomplish. Click download. And that's it. A coloring book, pretty easy with Midjourney and the tools. There's just some things, again, as always, you might have to fix some of the images from Midjourney. And using Illustrator into your workflow really improves the quality of your overall product if this is something that you're looking into. Once again, thank you. I've had some really great support from all the viewers. This is something that I'm thinking about doing more. I've noticed there's a lot of videos on different side hustles and projects and how to incorporate AI. If these are the types of videos that you'd really like to watch, please leave a like and a comment. And until the next video, thank you.